Hello everyone, in the last video we cooked a very huge sturgeon and we were left with a very hefty head. As I promised, today we will cook fish soup from it. However, it will just be an unusual soup. At the auction, I bought a very old recipe for the royal soup of the 18th century. The recipe is called Triple Royal Fish Soup with Saffron. The recipe explains that it is triple because it was prepared from 3 different types of fish. The first broth is boiled from the head and tail of the sturgeon. Therefore, we start with the head. The first step is to remove the gills. If this is not done, the broth will be bitter. Done. We transfer the head to the sink and thoroughly wash it from the mucus so that it is perfectly clean. We are also left with the sturgeon carcass. We use this for the fish soup. We chop it into identical pieces. And we remove the film from the edges. To cook the fish soup, as it should be done in a cauldron, we send the pieces of the island of sturgeon to the cauldron as well as the head itself, and fill it all up with water. And then we chop wood. We need a lot of these wood chips. We send some dry alcohol to the stove and set it on fire. Now we throw in some firewood. The fish soup should be cooked very slowly, avoiding rapid boiling. Then the broth will be as saturated as possible. Periodically remove the foam from the surface. Three onions in the husk are sent to cook. The recipe says that this will give the broth a golden color. In the meantime, we prepare everything for the second broth. We need small fish, namely ruffs or perches. We bought these perch. Now we gut them. This one was also caught with caviar. We also cut out the gills. And rinse the fish thoroughly. And send the already cleaned prepared perch to gauze. We clean everything else in the same way. We put in a lot of greens on top, namely dill and parsley. And the third fish in our soup will be walleye. For me, this is the most delicious fish of all and can be caught in our reservoirs. Its most important plus is that there are a few bones in it. We rip open the belly. And remove the insides. And we cut out the gills. Done. We cut off the pike perch's head. And throw that into the cheesecloth. We continue the incision along the belly. And cut off half of the fish, cutting through the ribs. We separate the second half of the meat. We fold the skeleton several times and send that in with the head. We cut off all the fins. And ribs from the fillet. After which, we cut off the fillet from the skin. With the second fillet, we do the same thing. So now we're left with 2 fillets without bones. This will be the meat component of our soup. Now we cut the fillet into convenient pieces. Done. And all the trimmings will also go into the broth. From the spices, we add a mixture of peppers, a lot of bay leaves, and salt. We collect everything into the cheesecloth and tie it up. The soup has been cooking for 2 hours. We take out the head of the sturgeon. And all the other parts of it too. We lower in our gauze bag. This will have to cook about a couple of hours to give all the taste to the broth. In the meantime, we'll prepare our vegetables, carrots and potatoes. Both of these root vegetables are peeled. Cut the carrots lengthwise and into half circles. We cut the potatoes into slices. Our second broth is already cooked. We take out the gauze bag. All the flavors inside the bag have gone into the broth. We also take out the bulbs of onions Ideally, it is impossible to collect all the foam from the surface of the broth, so we take clean buckets and a sieve. We put also some gauze into that and filter the broth. Done. We put the clean cauldron back on and fill it with the clean broth. We throw in the sliced potatoes and carrots. We cover with the lid so that it boils again. In the meantime, let's go back to the boiled sturgeon head. Despite the fact that it all looks kind of so-so, there's still a lot of meat there. Therefore, we separate it from the bones and put it into the bowl. It turns out that we filled more than half of the bowl with clean meat. Pay attention to the name of the fish soup that we are preparing: Triple Royal Fish Soup with Saffron. Therefore, we take a mortar, pour some salt into it, and the most expensive spice in the world is saffron. We send that into the mortar and grind it in with the salt that it reveals its flavor to the maximum and gives some color. We pour this into the soup. And mix thoroughly. The fish soup is almost ready, so we send the pieces of pike perch into it, as well as sturgeon meat. The recipe explains that this is kind of a ritual, a way to appease the soup by sharing the most holy with the fish. All for the smell of smoke. We dip a burning log into the soup. At this point, it is completely ready, and you can fill the plate. We're left with a very beautiful fish soup with a lot of meat. Now let's try it. This is probably the most delicious and rich fish soup that I've ever tasted. There's not even a hint of any taste of mud in it, and the coolest thing is not a single bone. In general, the fish soup turned out to be really royal. Like and subscribe to the channel, you guys. Bye, everybody.